Hi everyone, welcome. This is Roland. And today I want to stop by to tell you about it's a new article and it's going to be a chapter in my new book. And it's about how God created love. God is the source of love. Nobody loves but God. In the world you have what appears to be love, but it's not really love. And mostly what you find in families is love out of guilt. People resent each other and they're not totally honest with each other. And people are mean during the year. People are mean to each other and cruel. And they feel guilty. Guilty for resenting each other. And then they do things for each other out of guilt or out of obligation. That's the other thing, obligation. But love is free. Now, God created love. See, I'm going to keep this very short and very simple, and I'm not going to give it all away. So you'll want to read the article and the chapter in the book. But the universe, if you look at the material universe, it's a universe of math, physics, chemistry, biology. And there's no love. And there's also no freedom. Everything has to do what it's supposed to do. Every atom, every molecule, every plant, every animal, everything, every planet, every star must obey laws. And it does according to what the laws say. And everything has its own nature, its own purpose, and it can only do that. A dog can only be a dog, and an apple tree can only be an apple tree. And everything that it does is based upon chemistry and botany and math and physics. So there's no freedom. Everything is ordered, structured. Well, in order for there to be love, love is a free will thing, isn't it? If there's any obligation, if there's any pressure, if there's guilt, it's not love. It has to be free. And so God had to create freedom, and then out of that freedom then could be love. But there would also be the potential for hate, wouldn't there? Or not love. Well, so how did he do that? How did he take all these molecules and atoms, and protons and electrons that are swirling around? He did a pretty good job making plants and animals and mountains and lakes, water and forests and planets. It's amazing what he made. So he did that. Then he said, all right, he wanted to make love. So first thing he had to do was make freedom. So he created people in his image and likeness who eventually could love him. And it was Adam and Eve. And he put them in paradise. So there they were in paradise. And he gave them, he said, tell you what, no rules, except one little tiny rule. So you can do anything you want. Anything. There's only one little tiny thing I don't want you to do. He knew what he was doing when he did that. He said, I don't want you to eat of that tree right there, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat of that one. But anything else you can eat, anything else you can do. Okay. Well, the serpent came along. And so I want you to see that God's kingdom, the way he set things up for Adam and Eve, was free. He gave them freedom except for one little tiny rule. Not bad, huh? So now you can see that what happened. Well, along comes the serpent, who whispers, "Hey, did God really say that? Did he really say you couldn't eat that?" So he came with doubt. And he also came with some grandiose ideas. Wow, you could be really great. You could be like gods with knowledge. Just like today, people say, by knowledge, if you study hard and get good grades and go to college and then get a master's degree, well, you're going to be happy and successful and everything. And we know that's not true. Yeah, you may be successful, but you're not going to find true happiness through education. But they're still saying it, aren't they? Oh yeah, and there's big money in it. Oh yes, the educational establishment, they make big money. Well, anyway, so you know what happened. Adam and Eve disobeyed, and then what happened? They fell away from God's freedom. They fell into complete compulsivity and lack of freedom. So they became just like animals and plants and rocks and minerals and atoms and electrons. No freedom. But the no freedom was not only of a biological and no freedom of a mathematical and physical nature. In other words, the laws of nature had to be obeyed. They became totally subject to this other order of things, this hell, this Satan to whom they had listened. They became subject to that. They became subject to sin. They became subject to compulsivity. They became, and of course, subject to nature and subject to death. So now they were no longer in God's kingdom of freedom. That's the only place where there can be real freedom, in God's kingdom. Now they're in the order of the laws of nature and physics and biology and chemistry. And not only that, but also, see, there's no loose cannon in the universe. I don't know if you understand that term. It used to be a term. I don't know if it's still used or not. But it means like an independent operator, somebody that's just freewheeling it and just totally operating on their own with no rules. There's no such thing in the universe. No such thing. Everything is subject. Now, in God's kingdom, we're subject to him. But when you're subject to him, he gives you freedom. See, he's very gracious and generous. He gives you freedom, but you are subject to him. But you want to be subject to him. But see, I'm already getting one step ahead. You see how love comes into it? So now subject to sin, subject to death, subject to hell, subject to compulsivity, totally subjective with zero freedom. So now you'll say, well, so how does love come into it? Well, because of suffering. Suffering causes some people to cry out for true answers, to yearn for the truth, to yearn to know the reason for their existence, to yearn for something good. I watched a YouTube video this morning. It was Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dancing to the song Cheek to Cheek in the movie Top Hat. It's so beautiful. If you love dancing, it's just exquisitely beautiful there. And you can find it on YouTube. But there were comments underneath. There's always comments, and a lot of them are really good. And one of them was somebody named Deborah, I think. And I won't get it quite right, but she said, when I was a kid, I was very unhappy. I grew up in a miserable place. I didn't have any friends at school. My parents hated each other. And my only joy was watching old vintage movies, and I especially like the musicals. And she said there's something about the Fred Astaire's dancing, something about it that's beautiful, that touches me. I can't even tell you how. But she said when your life is full of crap, she used a different word, when your life is full of crap, then you're really looking for something beautiful. And she said, I found it in his dancing. Well, so now you understand suffering. The world is full of crap. See? And people want something beautiful, something innocent, something good. And their soul silently cries out for it. And then God answers. Now that is love. See, the only love that we can know, we humans, the only love that we can know is a need. Either a true need or a not so good need. But the true need is for our Creator. So we yearn for Him. And then He answers. And having yearned for truth and for love, and actually for the Father we've never known, that when He answers and you begin to know Him a little bit, then you can't help but love Him. He reveals Himself very gently to this soul. And loving Him, well, there's love. He loves you. And you need Him. That's what it is. But you discover His love. See, He is love. And you discover love when you find Him. That's it. You discover love when you find Him. And if you haven't found Him, then don't say you have when you really haven't. If you haven't, just admit it. Everybody tries to make you... See? Even in religion, there's there's pressure to make you say something that you're not really sure about, or it's not, that you don't really know for sure, or you haven't really experienced. You have to put on a song and dance for people and tell them that you have. Just be totally honest. God only wants, just be honest with God. Never mind other people. And my boss, I used to have a very good boss. He said, don't hang your dirty laundry out in public. So these private things about God, they're sacred and very beautiful, and they're very private. Don't tell anybody else. If they say something, just say, yeah, just agree with them. Just go along with whatever they say. Oh, okay. Yeah. But don't share your deep, beautiful things with God. Or don't share your deep, beautiful things with people. Christ said, don't cast your pearl before swine. Yeah? So, in a world filled with crap, you're looking for something real, something beautiful. And when you find Him, you found love, because He is love. See, John said it, didn't he? John the Apostle. He wrote the Gospel of John. He said, God is love. Now you get it. Do you get it? He's love. You have a need, and God has love. And when you find Him, you found love.